Good morning. Can you hear me okay? A few nods. Good morning, everyone. I am Councilwoman Raina Parkshaw. I'm Councilwoman for Kansas City's 5th District, and I also serve as Mayor Quentin Lucas's chair of the Houseless Task Force. And I am honored and just elated to have these experts behind me and passionate individuals behind me that have joined us in several months worth of collaboration and coordination for what we are really excited to announce today. And aren't we fortunate enough to have a nice fall weather day with us today? But we know that the cold weather will be among us just in a few short days. We've seen some of it already. We're expecting a really harsh winter, and so we have worked for several months now to do something I think has been pretty rare. I don't know that it's actually ever happened here in Kansas City before, but we're really proud to have brought together our shelter providers, and I hesitate to start naming, but I will name them. Our shelter providers, Restart, we have Shelter KC, and of course City Union Mission, and our spot KC as well has joined us in several months of coordination, talking about what are the challenges of our unhoused individuals. We have also brought to the table our outreach partners. Many of them, some of them are listed here. There's over about 40 agencies that we have coordinated with to come up with what are the key challenges, the number one needs that our unhoused individuals need here in Kansas City. And so you will have an opportunity to hear more from them today. But I want to thank all of the shelter providers and all of those who have participated in this collaborative effort to help Kansas City get ready for the winter. So I'm really excited with the things that we're going to talk to you about today. First, we're going to talk about the city's extreme weather activation plan and the creation of a new online resource, a dashboard to track availability of beds in all shelters across the city. And then we'll talk about how you, the public, can get involved and help with donations and supplies. Last year when we were doing our barter hall event, we saw overwhelming support from the community of individuals wanting to drop off items, drop off food, they were dropping off dollars, they were sending money. Well, this year we do have a more formalized process, and so those are the three things that we will talk to you about today. Starting with our Assistant City Manager, Kamiko Gilmore. She will give you more details. Thank you again for being here.
Thank you, Councilwoman Raina Parkshaw. And first of all, I just want to say thank you to Raina Parkshaw because because of her leadership in the Houseless Task Force, we are here today. The city's ready for winter. We are ready for winter. We've been putting the work in during during the warm months, which I think today is one of those warm days, which we are extremely blessed to have. Our new extreme weather activation plan includes several parts, and one new example is increased coordination of the city's online dashboard that tracks shelter bed availability. We promised this to you just a couple of weeks ago, and it's already online today. This is going to help with the tracking of beds with our partners, and for leaders in the community, and this will help staff see the trends and clearly be able to better be prepared to help with additional resources in extreme weather. It will create new data that will help the city as well as the shelters with both short and long-term planning and resource allocation. When very cold weather arrives, we will implement the extreme weather activation plan, and this happens when the daytime high is 32 degrees or the overnight low is at 20 degrees. The activation will include the KCMO Emergency Operations Center that will open a hotline to coordinate bed availability. Ride KC will offer free bus rides to shelters, and people can warm up or on the heated buses as well. When shelters are full, that's when the city will open maybe one or two temporary locations based on the need. In addition, city leaders will have long-term focus to better to better serve the homeless community by creating more permanent supportive housing and to provide a better response with more resources to those in need. And this includes that we have put $12.5 million in the city's first ever Affordable Housing Trust Fund to help build more truly affordable housing. This year we have distributed $14 million in emergency rental assistance funds to over 3,000 households in Kansas City. On average, the households received about $4,400 each household to pay back rent and utilities during the pandemic. We have announced the goal of creating 10,000 affordable housing units over the next 5 years, and we are well on our way with getting there. And we've created the new city staff positions with employees dedicated to homeless prevention and support, tenant advocacy, and affordable housing creation and preservation. This week we'll be discussing in the City Council to turn former hotels into permanent supportive housing and emergency transition housing for those experiencing houselessness. I'm extremely proud of the work that has been done over this last year. Last year we did Bartle Hall. We have made a concerted effort to instead partner with those homeless services agencies that do the work so very well. We, as you can see, we will use the houseless shelters now, and then only when they're at capacity, will we open up 1 to 2 community centers for houselessness, for the houseless during extreme weather. So I just want to thank you all for your attention, your time to this. Please understand that the city has made houselessness and housing, affordable housing, a priority. Thank you so much, and please stay tuned for a lot more information from our other speakers.
Thank you so much, Kamiko. And now we will hear from Terry Magley, who is the Executive Director of the City Union Mission and who has come to the table and given us the warehouse area that we will be storing the products. So go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning. Couldn't pick a better day to do this, isn't it? City Union Mission has a wide variety of services and programs to help meet the homeless where they are. And this includes men, women, and children. A few months ago, I heard that there was a need for storage for emergency supplies for the street homeless. We believe that City Union Mission can be a part of the solution by providing secure storage space for the coming winter months. This is a small step forward, which is symbolic of the synergy that's been going on behind the scenes with key city partners such as the ones behind me. I know that we're all committed to address the chronic homelessness in Kansas City by saving one life at a time. We want to thank the City Emergency Management Office, the Mayor's Houseless Task Force, and creative innovation entrepreneurs for their partnership in caring for the homeless of Kansas City. As you see behind us, we have 2 storage trailers that are going to be provided, as well as an 8x8 20-foot storage container that just arrived around 9 o'clock this morning. This is our gift to the city and to help save those that are on the street from freezing to death by providing secure emergency supplies on our site. And so we're grateful that we can be a part of the solution. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much, Terry. And for all of those others who are assembled here, and for your partnership. As I said, I believe this is the first time here in Kansas City, and we're so excited that while this is the first time, I know it won't be the last, because we know there's a lot more work that needs to be done here in Kansas City. But we're really excited, and I'm personally excited about the fact that the city was able to collaborate and coordinate with the experts, those who are passionate in their field, that have, behind me, I've got assembled over hundreds of years worth of experience in dealing with homelessness here in Kansas City. And I believe that's the right way for us to go. So with that, I think we have completed our presentation, but I would like to just announce, you will see a sign behind me, Keep Caring KC, which has folded over. But there's another way that you as a citizen in Kansas City can help. With the support of the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation, we have been able to establish a Keep Caring KC fund, where those dollars will support homeless products, supplies, warm weather supplies, and items that are needed to keep our individuals that are homeless, and maybe a shelter is not right for them. We know that it's not a one-size-fits-all. So our outreach teams will be working to take those much needed supplies that will be donated here and possibly purchased with the funds that are donated to the Keep Caring KC fund, out to those individuals, directly to them, to keep them warm and safe this winter. And so I think we need to announce the information on the website, and you can find that at kcmo.gov website. Thank you. I'm looking at our communications director there to ensure I'm giving you the right information. But I want to thank you all again for coming here today, and we will entertain any questions. And if you guys will join me. Any questions?
So have you all found a place for the homeless to go? Y'all know me, I'm put it out there. How you doing, Mr. Have they found a place for, like, if they get froze again like they did last year? Have you found anywhere? And will we have adequate staff working with them? Because when they were down in Florida Hall, it was said that some of them were raped. They were taking home 17-year-olds. Some people raised money under the homeless thing, $20,000 or more. All this, and that's why y'all know how I feel about my homeless.
Excellent.
I'm upset about that. So this gonna go where we're gonna try to take care of them, get them on their feet, help them do for themselves with protection, with nobody taking from them, doing harming them and stuff like that.
Excellent question, Ms. Perry. Thank you so much for your question. You may or may not be aware that several weeks ago, the City Council unanimously supported $650,000 to help provide support for the shelters. When we, in our 3 months worth of meetings, when I asked what's the number one challenge or the number one need that you all are having, the number one answer was staffing. And so the $650,000 will provide for additional staffing as those shelters are reaching their max capacity, to allow for them to be able to adequately care for and provide the services that our unhoused individuals need. In addition to that, as was mentioned by Kamiko, by our Assistant City Manager Kamiko Gilmore, that once their max capacity is met, then the city will then open additional community centers as shelters. So what's different this year than last year is we are collaborating and we are utilizing the resources that are already in place with the experts leading us in this charge. And in addition to that, we are aware that there may have been some improprieties with funds, because our wonderful community was they were freely giving last year. They were just dropping off dollars to even individuals on the street. And that is the reason why we established the fund, why we worked with the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation to establish the Keep Caring KC fund, so that you will know those individuals who do want to provide donations can do that and feel comfortable, because it's backed by United Way and the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation. And those dollars will be collected. They can individuals can donate online with a credit card, or they can send their dollars in as well. And we know the trusted work of the United Way and the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation. And so that's what's different about this year. Thank you for your questions.
And I'm glad y'all doing it that way. We need to, but no. Some people raised money. They took advantage during that time and raised $20,000, they said. And some was even on your task force, they said. I'm going to just put it all out.
Okay.
And it's not the knock out, because I thank you for trying to do something for my home. But if we do it this time, We need to do it where we protect them from the up all the way
through.
Because some people are taking advantage of this situation, and it's time out for them. Let's get the people. How many years they said this been going on? 49 years, 50 years? I've been out here 26. Let's get it under control. That'll help you to a crime. It'll help you with everything. So I'm praying, even on your team, let's make sure people are right and they are doing what's right to better our community.
Thank you.
Thank God.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your concern and your passion. I agree. Thank you.
Explain a bit more about how the donations here work, maybe the drop-off center. I don't know.
Sure. You want to talk about that? Or how the drop-off center will work?
I'm Anton Washington, and so I am the head of making sure the donations drop-offs are accurately done here at City Union Mission. They are done on between Monday through Thursday, 10 to 7, and on Saturday at 12 o'clock to 6. People can be able to drive through and drop off things. We do not prefer bags, we prefer boxes. It's easier for us to stack and be able to go through the boxes versus going through bags. And so that's how the donations will work here. And so as we implement into that process of putting them into the storage unit, we can be able to make sure they are separated easily and accommodated, you know what I'm saying, to those who are really servicing out in our community. Our community needs a strong insulated cold weather gear to keep them warm and keep them alive. Our goal is to basically do what is 0 injuries and 0 deaths.
So maybe I missed it. There was talk about storage here as well. What is that? And who can drop off, have stuff stored, that kind of thing?
Okay, so our street outreach will be able to come here and pick up any extreme cold weather gear here at this location. We were stored here in at this storage facility that has been given to us by City Union Mission, that has been actually donated to us, and we were very happy to have them on board in a collaborative effort, and as all of us work together to see that our individual cold weather gear is actually transported out and distributed into our communities amongst the population who we are serving.
I have a question about the database, about the beds. How often would that be updated? Would it be in real time? Would people check at certain times of the day? People might look online at different times, and I guess just making sure that there's not a lapse in the amount of beds that are available.
Of course, we definitely want to have as much real-time, as close to real-time information as possible. What's possible now is that each of the homeless services agencies will update around 12:30 every day. And that way you'll have the bed availability up until that time. Now it's going to fluctuate because those beds are a hot commodity, as you probably understand, and so it will be a little bit off. But every day at 12:30 you will be able to see what the bed availability is up till that time.
And also it was mentioned that once I guess the shelters are full, that you would open up other spaces. What is the capacity?
What is the capacity of?
Like the capacity that would make those shelters full, open up something else.
So we were, and I'm looking over at Jim Connolly. So if you could come up and talk about that, so you can get the details. I'm sorry. James Connolly is our director of our Emergency Management Operations Center.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear the question.
The question was just what's the capacity maximum, the number of beds in the shelters? Like I said, it would take for you to open something else. So,
what we're looking at currently is when the existing shelters are around 70 to 80% capacity, then we'll go ahead and activate one of our community centers as far as that goes, to ensure that we've got additional beds to handle that capacity. But the main thing that we want to do is make sure that our shelter partners, they're the experts in this, and we want to make sure that they're totally utilized before the city opens a community center for an overnight visit. It should be noted that the city has 10 community centers throughout the city. and those those community centers are open every day that people can utilize for a warming center.
Back to her question just for a second. Like, is there an actual number though? Like, the actual number of beds that are available for that range?
Well, that's what we were talking about, that it varies from day to day. But like today, we haven't got the exact numbers in, but yesterday we had probably about 90 open male beds, and then several family beds, or areas for families, and then we've got women centers and things like that. So the number of beds that are available throughout the city vary, and that's the whole idea of we set up this web page so we can track that, so the shelters as well as the city can follow that. Yes, sir.
It seems like when you talk about the amount of rooms that are available, and oftentimes on the news when we hear them talk about these subjects, they're talking about we have this percentage left. There's always a lot of rooms left. So there's a large gap between what is available and what the homeless are willing to come and share and take advantage of. And it seems like I'm not hearing ever that there's a meeting of the minds getting the homeless involved in that, why they won't come, and therefore maybe some adjusting that can happen on the housing or the available spaces for them for the night, so that more of them will come to those shelters.
Well, actually, we've been working on that for the past several months. We've involved the shelters, we've involved the city, we've involved our outreach groups to work on the issues that there are open beds. Why don't the people want to come in and utilize them and everything? There's been modifications to the shelter systems to encourage people to come in and utilize those beds.
Can you say what some of those are that you've changed, that they have brought up as concerns?
One of the things that the City Mission learned from the Bartle Hall experience is that there's some things that we can improve on to bring more dignity to those guests that are staying with us. And so some of the improvements that we have made include also renovating our showers to be able to provide that safe and secure. Second of all, we've moved forward in purchasing shield casework Murphy bed pods that will be placed in our family center, that will be utilized in our multi-purpose room, and we can fold those back up at daytime and bring them back down at night. And so that's going to increase our capacity as well. That's going to provide more dignity there as well. CU Mission has a capacity at the family center for between 90 to 100 individuals. That includes about 50 single women and 50 family members. The men's center, we have capacity right now for 150 for single men. However, we do have 300 beds total, but as we have heard, we do have a shortage of personnel in all of our shelters and homeless providers. So once this opportunity initiative gets launched, we are hoping that we can increase our bed count. But part of the dynamic is that we're limited on our capacity to provide the best care. And so if we go over our capacity, we're not going to be able to provide that care that we really need for the homeless. So those are some of the changes. There's some more changes coming, but this is a part that we want to do at City Union Mission, is to be able to give a token of space, secured space, so that the outreach teams can continue to bring supplies and help them in their logistics. Because if we can help them get connected and communicate, that's going to be helpful. One other thing that's been helpful for us is that we put together a winter information card that is given out to the homeless there in the encampments, and it's a great little card. It's like a business-sized card, and it'd be able to tell when they can come in to check in, the hours, what can they bring. That's just another step that we want to empower the outreach teams to be able to get into the hands of those that are in the encampments to encourage them to come in. So several things that we're doing to help increase capacity, but also bring more dignity to those that are living on the streets. Thank you.
Excuse me, can I ask one more question?
Let's actually, if we could take this gentleman, I think he's been waiting for a minute.
As far as women's capacity, we know that that's very limited space. So what are we doing to ensure that there's more space for women? And when we meet that capacity, what are we going to do to ensure that they have somewhere safe to go?
Thank you. So we acknowledge that there is limited capacity for women and single women and women with families, which is one of the reasons why we are working so diligently to do this. And so ultimately, as was mentioned before, when we looked to expand our capacity or expand the community centers, that we are discussing now, focusing that on those women and individuals with, or women and children and families. We understand that, just even across the region, that there are limits, that there's some limitation there. And so that's an area of focus. I think that the key thing that I want to make sure that we convey today, that this is a priority for the city. It's a priority for all of us here. And so we are working diligently. And while this is a first step, as I said, we know that we have more work to do, and we will continue to do that. It's already been said, we know that homelessness did not happen overnight. It was an issue hundreds and thousands of years ago. And so we don't expect to resolve this issue overnight, but I am confident with all of us working together, and you see a small group assembled here. I mentioned 40 outreach teams. There's another probably 30 or 40 other individuals that are working behind the scenes with us to help guide us in the proper manner to deal with this. Someone asked earlier about us connecting with the homeless individuals. Our outreach teams actually went and surveyed some of the individuals in the encampments to find out what their concerns were. Why weren't they using the shelters? And that is when the shelters came to the table and made the upgrades or made those changes based upon what those suggestions are. So I'm just really proud of the work that we've done so far, and excited about us moving forward together.